Welcome to episode 202 of the XS Noize Podcast, where we focus on in-depth interviews with musicians, artists, and people involved in the music industry. I'm your host, Mark Millar. Thanks for listening. In this episode, I speak to frontwoman of She Drew the Gun, Louisa Roach, about her new album, Howl. If you missed the previous episode, I spoke to singer-songwriter Ran McMullen about his debut album, Redesign. So check it out, and if you like the podcast and would like to support it, please subscribe for free on your favourite listening platform, give us a rating, and leave a comment. Howl is the fourth album from She Drew the Gun, delving into a visceral musical landscape shaped by influences as diverse as 80s electronica, hip-hop, political poetry, and cosmic Scouse psychedelia. In this episode, Louisa shares insights into the writing and recording of the album, her spirituality, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the XS Noize Podcast with Louisa Roach of She Drew the Gun. So hi Louisa, welcome back to the XS Noize Podcast.
Hi Mark, it's nice to be back.
It's good to have you back. She Drew the Gun has a distinct sound that blends indie rock with socially conscious lyrics. So who were some of your earliest influences that helped shape your music?
Well, I think talking about really early influences, I was just talking about this today, how the first song that really stopped me in my tracks and made me go, wow, was Working Class Hero by John Lennon. And I was just like, what is that? It came on the end of a film and I just rewound it loads of times and wrote down all the words. And I was like, I've never heard anything like that before, because it was like a commentary about society and what was going on. And I was just blown away by that. So I guess John Lennon's a massive early influence. And I guess, I don't know, I was really into hip hop and stuff as a teenager. So there was a lot of that in there. And I guess the whole cosmic Scouse kind of scene was around, and Britpop and stuff. So I guess that all of those are kind of early influences.
So how do you think growing up in the UK has influenced your perspective as an artist, especially when writing politically charged songs?
Well, I guess in the UK, we're kind of spoilt with a very rich tapestry of music. It's our greatest export, I think. I guess growing up in the UK, you're surrounded by good music all the time. So I'd say that's probably an influence. Yeah, it's hard to say really, isn't it? Because you don't grow up anywhere else, so you don't really know what it's like to grow up somewhere else. But I guess it's being inside that kind of richness of good musical stuff.
What would be the first moment or experience that inspired you to incorporate sort of activism in your lyrics?
Let's see. Well, I did the first song that I wrote that was kind of political, I think, was Poem. I think that was the main one that I did that for, but that started off as a poem. And it was a response to a news article about how the police were moving homeless people off the streets in London because they were an eyesore. And it was move the homeless people out the way because we've got to prioritise tourism and people thinking that the place looks great. I think it was a royal wedding or something like that. And I just started writing about that. And then it was just all the kind of disgust started flowing out of me about that situation. And then it just kind of got bigger and bigger and ended up talking about the whole kind of global situation, if you like, about neoliberalism without saying neoliberalism or anything like that, without really knowing what it was about, but just kind of expanding the lens more and more. So it was an actual thing that happened in life, or that was written in a newspaper, that inspired me to write that.
Well, you'll soon release your fourth album, Howl, on November the 15th. It's your first new music since 2021's Behave Myself, which I spoke to you about that time. So when did this album start?
This album started I say around 2022, I think, is when I started like really writing it after Behave Myself. And then I just had a lot of things going on in my life. And this album is kind of like captured this chapter in my life of setting a personal journey that I've been through. So it's a bit different from Behave Myself, which was a very kind of outward looking album. And this one, I say, is like I had to kind of go inward in my own life and my journey. So the albums kind of came with me with that.
Howl is such a powerful title. You know, what does it represent for you, and how does it capture the essence of the album?
Howl, it to me, like a howl is an expression, like expressing yourself. Something like, I mean, it's obviously howling's been used in like human society for a long time to like call in the ancestors or to express grief, like a mourning call. But for me, it's like howl is an expression. So like expressing yourself, like whether it's a song or a poem or just like crying or whatever, is like something in the moment. So that's kind of what I kind of have thought of as my howl kind of thing. But yeah, like the song Howl is like about how kind of ancient we are and how all the parts that the atoms that make up our bodies and stuff were there at the beginning of time, and we've gone through this whole journey, or our ancestors have, that leads us right up to now, to this actual point in time where and all we have is the moment and now. And that's kind of like it comes alive when I howl. And
you went to Portugal, is that right? Was it some sort of meditation? You went to the mountains of Serra da Estrela. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah. I was at a music festival in 2022, and I was having a bit of a hard time, and not on that day. I was having a great time, but I walked into a bar, and there was someone behind the bar, and she was like, Louisa, when I walked in, and I was like, hiya. And she looked like she'd seen a ghost. And then she was like, I manifested you this morning. She was like, said to her husband, like, the only thing that's going to make today okay is when Louise walks in this bar and asks for a beer, and I'll serve her one, and then she's going to come to Portugal. And that is kind of what happened. But like, we didn't know each other before then. But then she said she was like she'd bought some land there and her husband, and they were like making a place for people to go when they needed to get away. And she started telling me about it. And I just like started crying, and she was like, what's up? Do you need somewhere to go? And I was like, yeah. So I became the first person that went there. And then kind of like that was kind of a big part of me doing like a lot of healing and going on a bit of a journey, like with meditation, and which kind of like ended up being really surreal for me as well. So yeah, I went to Portugal, and that was a part of it, definitely. I feel like the land is really special there, and I kind of like absorb some of the energy there, and I've kind of embraced this like more witchy, magical side of myself for this album, and that was a big part of it.
Did you say that she had never met you before?
No, well, actually, she had came to a gig like years before, so she had actually been. She actually introduced herself to me then, but I'd forgotten. I didn't know who she was, and so there was no like, and it was like a random bar in the festival. It was like it wasn't like a bar that all the artists go to or anything like that. It was just like in the middle of nowhere. But she just had the feeling that she was going to meet me, and that we were like destined to like kind of meet each other and help each other and stuff. So yeah, we were strangers pretty much before that. Yeah.
No, that's an amazing story. That's what synchronicity, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah,
it really does, and it's mad. It just freaks me out all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, loads of stuff's happened to me like that through the last couple of years. But yeah, without sounding cliche or whatever. It's like of kind of, because you don't want to go on about the universe and stuff, but I feel like there's ways that the universe kind of like speaks to you and stuff.
Absolutely. And listen, you're talking to me about it. I understand it 100%. I try and explain to other people. You'll not believe what happened to me today, and they just think I'm on the glue or something.
Yeah, same.
So who did you collaborate with on the album, on the production, and sort of what impact did they have on the overall sound and direction of the album?
Well, I worked with Ash Workman on the production. I already had pretty well developed demos, so I did the demos at home mostly with my son, which was really nice because we started working together a lot, and it was just a nice atmosphere to have at home, and using this little music room and chatting about music and working on music every day. So we kind of developed the demos like that, and then it was like I felt like there was quite a it's probably the most pop sounding record, or like that pop side could be drawn out of it more. So it was like when we were chatting about producers to work with, Ash Workman's name has come up before as a possibility to work with, and it felt like these songs could do well with like his kind of pop ear. So that's what we did. So I just went down to Margate. We did a day or two, and we worked on Howl, and then ended up going in for the whole album.
And the album's split into two sides, isn't it? Can you explain what each side is?
Yeah, I mean, half of it is like it's the most love songs that I've put on an album before, and it's probably like a bit uncomfortable for me, to be honest, to put that many love songs on an album, because it's not really what I've been about before, even though I've had the odd splattering of love songs over the albums. But I was like, Jesus, this is like almost a love album. But I was like, maybe it's more of a split in two, and like half of it is like love songs, but not all like the same kind of love songs. I think they kind of look at like love and grief, and there's a bit of a mysticism to it, and it's like it's not all like Taylor Swift style kind of love songs, but the theme there is like heartbreak and love and grief and stuff like that. And then the other side of the album is more like consciousness, and like I think to me it's kind of like pain and heartbreak and stuff can be like a portal to consciousness raising and awareness of yourself and stuff like that. So I've kind of seen it like that, as like pain being like a coin with two sides, whereas you've got the sadness and the heartbreak, but it also can lead to like new awareness and growth. So that's kind of how I see the two sides of it. Yeah. And it kind of in the end, it made sense to kind of do it like that. And I'm also interested to see what everyone thinks, like who's into side A and who's into side B and stuff. And obviously people might be into both, but I'll be interested to see which side gets the more votes and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed it as a complete album. I will tell you some of my favorite tracks. We'll get into those, but we must talk about your latest single, "Washed in Blue," which has just come out today.
Mm-hmm.
I had to laugh because you said in the press release, it's about the time I left an Everton sock in my whitewash.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, Jimmy Moon came up with that, my guitar player. But I just laughed my head off so much at it. I was like, that should exactly be what the press release is, because I don't know if you really need a press release to say it, because the song's so like heart on sleeve kind of just is what it is. Don't know if you really need to explain it, so you can just say something like that. So yeah, it's about that time.
No, it's a great. My favorite track, I have to say, is "Rise," especially at the end. Where you're singing and the break beats and stuff like that. It's really uplifting, all of that. What can you tell me about it?
Rise. Well, actually, Rise is the oldest song on it, to be honest, because it's been around for a little while, but could never really didn't really know quite what to do with it because it felt like a dance tune, but yeah, I didn't really know exactly how it should be. But yeah, when I was working in the studio with Ash, we were just coming up with that beat and like almost like a slowed down jungle beat or something. And yeah, it just felt, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of feels like uplifting. It's like, don't let anyone else crush your spirit. Keep rising. It's like that, like put it on the consciousness side of the album because it's that like uplifting bit at the end, like pick yourself up, carry on kind of thing.
Yeah, and it does that musically 100%, you know, and it's a real toe tapper. Like,
nice one. I'm glad you like it.
I think I've played that the most. And Merge, it was also a single. Really enjoyed that. It's in the first half of the album. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rise is on the second half, isn't that right?
No, Rise is on the first half too.
Is it? Right, okay.
The end of the first half, yeah.
Well then there you go. That's obviously my favourite half.
Yeah, must be.
My two favourite songs are on the first half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mirrors.
Cool, that's one vote.
Yeah. Was there a specific track that was particularly meaningful or difficult to write?
Difficult. I mean, I think probably the most work went into Howl, probably, because of the poetry side of it. And I wanted it to be like in the right order of history. You know what I mean? You know, starting with the Big Bang and what's going on in the stars, the shifting of the universe and stuff like that, which takes up quite a bit. And then, you know, evolution, how consciousness happened. So it was like a little bit of like research into what happened when, what was the order of things. Yeah, so that was just a poem. And then it was just one of those poems that was like, yeah, this should be a song. Apart from that, do you know what? I think Washed in Blue took a bit of work once. I mean, to write, it just came out like very easily. But in the studio, it did take a little while figuring out what we should do, how it should be.
When you're writing your songs, do they usually start off as poems and then you add the music, or what way do you write? Do you get melody ideas, or how does it work?
I think they come in just all different ways. Like there's no set formula, but a lot of the ones with spoken word do start off as a poem, yeah, and then it'll be like putting that to music and working out what a chorus should be. Other ones that are more like traditional song kind of things will come like melody. Sometimes they can come just melody first with the music, and then I don't know what the words are yet, and it takes me a while to work out what the words are. And sometimes it kind of all comes as one. So it's like, yeah, just all different ways, really.
Well, you're doing some in stores soon, and then in 2025, you're going on a tour, the UK tour, is it?
Yeah.
In support of the album. When you're performing songs with strong messages, you know, live, do you feel a shift in how the audience engages or responds compared to other tracks?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I've always been like, I think that's the thing. Like last time when we went on the tour, Behave Myself and stuff, I was just like, wow, we've got like a room full of people who are like all on the same page. Do you know what I mean? It's like where you can stand in a room and talk about how shit the government is, or how bad certain things are, or stuff like that, and everyone's like cheering. Because like if you can play in front of an audience that you can go to a festival that can be like, say it's like quite a middle class festival or something, and you can say like F the Tories or whatever, and then you'll get a bit of a mixed response. Like some people are like walk off and stuff. Yeah, you can always like, there's always different audiences, and you don't really know how they're going to react. But then if you're in a She Do the Gun gig, you'll always get like that lefty kind of reaction. Apart from there's been a few times when we've done gigs and I've said something like that, and then someone's walked out or like slammed the pint down or something, and then it's always surprising because everyone's like, did they not like listen to the lyrics or?
You've released 3 albums prior to Howl. Can you tell me briefly what first comes into your head when I mention each one? So we'll start off with memories of another future.
Just like how great it was to be like in the studio making tunes, like, and how like it was kind of like I was pinching myself, thinking I just went to some open mic nights and I wasn't expecting this, but obviously there's a lot. You've always got like a bit of hope that you'll do cool things from writing some tunes. But I was just like, I was just absolutely buzzing to be in the studio and just taking it all in and yeah, excited. And then it was like we won the Glastonbury competition. That was next to that album. Yeah, loads of exciting things. But yeah, just being in the studio, being excited.
Well, tell me about Revolution of Mind.
Yeah, I think that was like learning me craft a little bit more and being like, this time I came in with demos, like made demos at home. Whereas the first album, I just went in with my acoustic guitar or whatever, and we did it all in the studio. But then I learned a lot from that, and then started making the demos on GarageBand at home a bit better, so that when I came to the studio, I already had an idea of what kind of things would go into it. And what else do I think about with that tune, with that album?
Did you feel pressure going into the second album?
I suppose, yeah, there is, isn't there? There's always like that second album thing. Definitely. Yeah, I think there's probably always a bit of pressure, but it's the second album, yeah, you're definitely a bit worried. But and I think with that as well, a few of the tunes came out came written out towards the end, just before we went in the studio, kind of thing. So it was almost like the deadline of the thing made some of the songs happen, kind of thing. The tour got sold out. We were in the 6 music albums of the year. So it was like, it was loads of dead good things that happened with that album.
And Behave Myself.
Behave Myself, just like loads of dead good memories of making the album with Ross in Sheffield. And it's my favourite album out of the 3 previous ones. Like, I think I love the songs off it. They're my favourite to play live. And I think it was like bold and the most political one. I enjoyed that. So yeah, lots of good memories with that too, and lots of good tunes to play live.
If people want to understand the music of She Drew the Gun, what are the 5 songs they should listen to?
Ooh, I'll listen to Poem, Behave Myself, maybe Washed in Blue, because there's got to be a love song in there. Maybe Resistor and Howl.
Independent music, it can be tough to navigate. What advice would you give to emerging artists trying to stay true to their vision?
Staying true to the vision. Please yourself, I suppose. Make something that you love. And then other people enjoying it is a bonus, isn't it? Don't give up, because sometimes that's going to come across your mind, definitely. Like, I think everyone has the moments of like, what's the point, or what am I doing? I definitely have moments like, what the hell am I doing with my life? But yes, if you keep going, as long as you're still writing, as long as you still got a desire to express yourself.
Just a few more, Louisa. I like to ask my guests the following questions. For us music fans, music is the soundtrack to our memories. What song or album, when you listen to it, brings back the best memories for you?
That's a tough one. I mean, I'll just have to say the Beatles, the White Album, because of the people that I bond with over it. So it's like a lot of my closest friends and stuff. I've bonded with a lot of really good friends over the White Album. So that's one that's come to mind straight away.
Yeah, it's a great album. It's so different. Is there a particular track you like?
I mean, I love the whole thing. So let's say Revolution.
Yeah. I would go for Dear Prudence.
Oh, Dear Prudence. Beautiful.
If you could go back and relive one musical moment from your career, what would it be?
I mean, just to relive it or to do it again differently.
Either or, you can go back and change something.
I think actually there's always little things that you want to change. It's always little things that you'd want to do differently. I think every time when you put something out, you're like, oh, I should have done that. I should have took more time about this. Should have changed this. So just letting all that go. I think my favourite one moment is probably winning the Glastonbury Emerging Talent, just because it was so much joy in one. There's not that many things that make you go, yeah, like as if you've just won the FA Cup or something. So for that, I'll choose that. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, that's me done. Louisa, is there anything you would like to mention before we wrap up?
I'll just say, just love to hear which side people are, side A or B. Let me know.
Well, obviously I'm side A.
You're side A. I think I've got a couple of side Bs so far, so good to have a side A.
Good. And do you want to tell people where they can get the album?
You can get the album on the website, shedothebun.com, and there's tour tickets available on there too. Tour in February. Really looking forward to it. It'll be like a lot of the new album. Want it to be like really different. So got a show to put together, and then it'll be like the best of the rest as well. So looking forward to seeing loads of people in a room together, having fun.
Well, listen, thanks very much. It's been great talking to you again. Really, really enjoyed it. And I really am loving the album. Side A. All the way. No, it is really good. Really, really uplifting.
That's cool. That's
loving
it. It's a good word.
Yeah. No problem, Louisa. It's good to speak to you again, and hope you have a good night.
Nice one. You too.
Bye.
Bye.